Right, hi everyone. Now we're a little bit whited out. We tried this already once when we stopped it, but it keeps doing it. So maybe I should sit further back. I don't know why our faces are so white. So yeah, I'm really white. So yesterday when I came on, I couldn't see any of the comments come up. So what I've done today is I've got my laptop. It's not showing up yet. Let me just refresh it. So I'm going to be looking on here to see any comments or anything. Oh, there we go. Look, there we are. Oh, no, there's been a problem. Sorry. Report. Bloody Apple.
Don't send that.
Okay, let's just...
Bloody Apple,
okay.
good brand.
Alright, so I think I need to press play and turn the sound off. Right, does that make sense? Great. Cool, so hopefully I'll see the comments. Oh, Elsa, if you can make a comment on something so I can see if I can see it, because, oh look, it's delayed, it's really weird. So I'll see the comments by looking on here, but that might get a little bit distracting, so I might have to look at the comments at the end. Okay, so let's start. So as you all know, we want to do a little bit on brand training today. And we thought where we'd start with some of the questions that came up with is really with the basics. And explaining, you know, fundamentally what a brand is and what it's all about. So essentially, a brand. I know you haven't spoke yet. I feel like you should have said something. We're going between us.
There's not an opening. You never really give much of one, do you? Let's be honest.
So let me just quickly look here and see if I can see anyone comment or anything. Okay, no. Right, I don't think I'm going to be able to see the comments, so I might just have to make this less interactive then. If comments come up, I'm going to start asking questions, but I'll leave it for now. So branding obviously is essentially, it's what makes you different to everything else. It's what distinguishes you. It's kind of your set of beliefs, values. Go on, you say something.
Yeah, it's your story, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's your message. You're supposed to have a message that relates to your story, who you are, that you put out, and it covers everything from visual to non-visual. It's what, as a saying, what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yes, exactly.
So it's something like it's everywhere. It is you. You absorb. You zed it. What's the word? I can't even say the word now. Absorb it. No, you don't.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
So yeah, so like for example, if you think of a brand, if you think of Apple, or if you think of Tiffany & Co, the feelings, the stories, the thoughts, the feelings, everything around that, whichever one you're thinking of, is going to be completely different. And that is because they've created a brand. And brands essentially are about creating feelings, because often people aren't really buying a product or service, they're buying the feeling. They're buying the feeling that it creates, right? When people go and buy some Nike trainers, it's often because of the feeling it creates.
Yeah, and the same with the feeling when you go in the shop. If you go into a Nike store compared to, say, JJB or somewhere where they sell Nike, you'll get a completely different experience, because the Nike store, they want you to have the experience you get when you buy the shoe times 100 by being in there, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
The same with going into a Tiffany shop, I imagine. You go in there and that's when they treat you a certain way.
Yeah, yeah. And just how like Tiffany, and I've seen some comments are coming up, so I'll be able to look at these in bits and pieces, just how Tiffany is able to brand their jewellery as a high-end product and charge more for it, make it luxurious. They've done that through that branding, and not because that product's actually any different to any other jewellery, right?
Yeah, like Rolex.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a story associated, there's feelings, there's values, and there's beliefs. And it kind of... Go on.
No.
All right, are we going to say something?
I was just itching.
All right.
I was just itching that time.
Okay. There's something that came into my head and then I've lost my trail of thought. But that's essentially what a brand is, right? So it's not just a business. It's a set of values. It's what makes you unique. And I think the best place. This just keeps. I can't see these comments. It just keeps quitting on me. So this is really irritating.
I suppose it's about saying people want to know why it's important, as opposed to knowing what it is. But then, well, why is that important?
Yeah. Over
someone who hasn't got a brand or established brand. Well, the most obvious is obviously the people that have got an established brand are the biggest, the most successful, and I guess that's why a lot of people on here want to know about that, because they want to be successful in their chosen market.
Yeah.
And part of being successful in anything you do is the way you brand your company or yourself. And there's a saying as well, like it can be taken either way, which is why branding is very important, because you don't want to have a negative brand, and you really got to think about what you do and say, or what your company or your employees do and say, because it represents you. And there's some little things might happen, it might take a dent, but if you've got a strong brand, you can often get through something. even when you take a hit.
Yeah.
So it's about building that from the start, but you can't build something just for the sake of building it. You've got to get clear on what those values are.
Yeah.
And that's the key to anything. If you do the homework at the beginning, spend more time at the beginning, down the line, whenever you get things thrown at you, you'll be able to just batter them off because you've established a core belief in what you feel is your brand.
Yeah. And I think the important point is really that brands start from the inside and then go out, right? It's not just the visuals, it's not just the aesthetic, it's not about going, I want my brand to look like that, can you create this, right? Or I like this brand, so let me be the same. It's thinking about, well, what's unique about me? What's my story? What's my values? What am I trying to represent? And the thing that distinguishes the successful brands to the non-successful brands, and like I said before, most brands fail in their first 10 years, is being able to be in line with those values and those beliefs consistently throughout their whole business, their whole brand strategy. And that leads me on to something I was going to talk about later on, but I think it just makes sense to speak about it. There was a study that was done, and it showed that 64% of businesses don't actually basically make their business decisions based on their brand identity, but they do it just on just a business decision. They just make the decision and they don't bring it in line with what their brand values are, what their brand strategy is. So the brands that they've looked at time and time again, who have stood the test of time and who do really, really well, are consistently in line with their brand values. So everything they do, from their visual output to their customer services to the people that work for them, everything's consistent and everything upholds their values. So do you want to speak a little bit about that in the sense of
examples or?
Well, like, for example, one of the things that you do when you work with a client is you create the brand guide, right? So that everything that they do is in line with it. So do you want to speak about that and why that's so important?
Well, it's they call it, sometimes it's called the brand Bible, and often there will be someone, if it's in a big company, or essentially should be you first of all, you're the brand guardian.
Yeah.
So any employee, anyone who does anything, this is like the thing you refer to, and you should know it off by heart yourself, and it builds and builds and builds as you get bigger and bigger. I mean, it becomes like a massive booklet with like laws and structures and guides, all sorts of things. But at the very beginning, the thing I often do now for someone, it starts off as like just a short PDF, and it's just, like I say, it's a guide. In case you can't remember, you're not sure, you go back to it, or anyone, a VA, someone working for you can look at it. If they're doing anything, and this is more the visual side, again, you should have in a brand document, which is maybe should be part of the same thing, but something you should do beforehand, before coming to design, is having that brand message and what your values are, because it's the same thing. It should be all part of one, really. But when it comes to the visual thing I do, that has been designed based on those core values and based on what I've been told, but it's more visual representation, so people can always go to it. So they go, right, we should know this, but someone might be coming to you, VA, and you go, right, I want you to make this up for me. Instead of you having a long blown out conversation, you go, I'm sending you the visual brand guide. And
well, it's not just visual, is it? Like, the whole point of having the brand guide is it has, these are my core values.
I'm just talking about what I would make up myself. That should be in there. That should be sent to them. But what I make up myself, I mean, that could be given to me, and I could add it so it's visually again in them and a lot nicer. But they'll have a visual guide, so they'll know exactly the colours, the colour codes, they know the fonts, they know how you can use the logo or how you shouldn't use the logo, textures, weights of font, kerning, spacing, that sort of thing. And it can get big and bigger and bigger how specific you want to be. Otherwise it can be quite loose, but you don't want it so loose that there is no guide at all. There is, at the very basic level, you want to have certain things like your values, your colours, your fonts, visually, what they stand for, and have some reference point. That's the basics, and that's what I'll do. There'll be a reference point of how the social media that I've built for them looks like. There'll be a reference to, say, their website. They have the colours, they have their fonts, they have the logos. So if we send it to someone and they're making up a page or a banner or something visual, and it's not me, at least whoever's doing it can look at that and go, right, I have to use that font for a title, and I have to use this colour, and so on and so forth.
So that's what creates these cohesive brands, all right? And when let's think of some brands that have stood the test of time, like McDonald's or Coca-Cola, or even kind of like, Nike's obviously doing well, or Heinz. You can see a certain image constantly, right? By the way, I can't see any comments that come up, so that's why I can't now do interaction, because this is just telling me who's joined.
Oh,
so
right.
yeah, we can't see any of the comments, unfortunately. It keeps crashing. So yeah, you see a visual cohesive representation wherever you go, but it's not just the visuals, it's the message. And that's the thing about branding, is it's a mixture of design and marketing together, and it starts with your core values and who you are. And that's why it's really important to make your brand authentic, because you need to be consistently living it out through what you do and how you represent yourself in every way, right? So from what you do on video and what you talk about to, you know, what you post on your Instagram page to what it says on your website, you know, there needs to be, and then obviously your customer service, the way you communicate with your clients, all of that needs to be in line with the same thing. You know, it's kind of like branding is almost like an unwritten contract between you and your consumers. And when they invest in that brand, they invest in those ideologies, in the values that they think that you upheld. So if you think about some of the brands that you like, the chances are that, you know, whatever it is about them that you love, that probably resides in you too. So it's always a good study to kind of look at a brand and write down, what is it I love about them? Write it all down, because the chances are that these are things that you're going to reflect in your own brand, because they're going to be like core kind of characteristics and values that you have. So the other thing, so you know, it's important to know that obviously when it comes to like really, you know, brands that do really well, you know, the core driver of all your business decisions should be around your brand identity and through your values. But the other thing is about good brands is they always innovate, right? So these brands that I mentioned, you know, you think of Coca-Cola, McDonald's, I hate to use McDonald's as an example, but it has stood the test of time, right? It's been really, really consistent, and it's delivered what it said it would effectively, and it does all over the world, right? It's a huge brand, you can't ignore that, whatever you believe about it. But it's innovated constantly, right?
Yeah, it's changed a lot in the last 10 years,
Yeah.
but it hasn't changed. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
There's so much that's changed, but it still looks visually the same. They still are the same. Although, if they are going to make a change, that's one thing I do notice. When companies do make a change, it's not suddenly like, boom, there it is, completely different. They gradually introduce things to slowly change. Like the world's changed a lot. Like, you know, McDonald's essentially has become, or tried to become, a lot more healthier. But it didn't suddenly go, right, we're now doing salads, that's our main thing.
Yeah.
It was slowly introduced, and even, like, again, it's not just the visuals or the menu, it was the words. So, you know, we're loving it. You know what I mean? They started introducing loads of little bits over time. And now they even got, like, coffee shop, you know, all these little things. It's subtle. It's about, if you are going to do a change, or you want to go a direction with your brand, you've got to think about how you can still keep it in line with what you've got and what people love.
Yeah, so you innovate, and I suppose you grow with how, you know, the times and how things are changing. Now, if you stay exactly the same, you're not going to innovate, then you're not going to grow as a business, right? You're not going to grow as a brand. So it's keeping those core values, you know, your brand story, the value, your ethics, what you stand for, what it's all about, but evolving it into, you know, with time, right? If you stay the same, it's I suppose it's that kind of getting it in between the two things, right? You don't want to go off in a completely different direction, but you don't want to stand still, because you're never going to get anywhere.
No.
One of the other things, again, like that really good brands do is they, and this is a good one actually you should speak about, is they care about the small stuff. So it isn't just about these big campaigns and all of that stuff. It's the small things. It's the little bits of communication. It's the attention to detail, which I think is a good one for you, especially when you think about the visuals and stuff, because you're very into the attention to detail.
Yeah, and it can be easily, you know, ignored, or you know, even you make mistakes can happen. But that's why, again, we have different tiers of people. You know, like for example, I might be really good at doing the visuals, but a lot of stuff I might do involve lots of words and sentences. Whereas when I look at it, I don't necessarily read stuff. Yeah, so you want someone in your team that can then go over what I've done and tick off and go, right, the grammar's correct in that, or there's a mistype there, because you just want to have a team that are all on the same page, all following the same value. So attention to detail on every level is key. But yeah, visually for me, if you're not necessarily naturally that way inclined to thinking, or not used to the industry, like say where I come from, you know, you spot the smallest things. I mean, when I see like someone say, you know, I'm doing this coaching package for X amount of money, and I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. And then you look at their site and you're like, right, it doesn't really fit with
Yeah.
with what they're the value they're saying. Or
Yeah.
you might look at their site and go, oh right, yeah, okay, I get that, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you come across a random newspaper article
Yeah.
with them in, and it looks completely different.
Yeah.
Instantly it can be anyone. It makes you fall out of line with them.
Yeah.
You need every little thing. That's why the brand guide, the visual brand guide, and the verbal whatever needs to be in alignment, and you need to have that because these decisions need to be thought about before you make them.
Yeah.
I know everyone's key to rush in and want to get stuff done,
Yeah.
want to get ahead of people, but the way you'll get ahead is not by rushing, but it's by doing your homework first.
Yeah. And you've noticed a massive difference with this, haven't you? The clients that have come to you who have done their work and the ones that have come to you and haven't.
Yeah, massively. I mean, I've had one recently that was quite challenging in the sense of, and I took some responsibility because I couldn't at the time necessarily coach them, but I said to them, I offered and said, you could get some coaching on it with Kirsty or someone else. But they had quite a tight budget, and I said, well, when you go away, here, take this sort of rough questionnaire I've done for you, which I always do, and start, doing this, doing that, start looking at these sort of things and thinking about why and so forth. And then when it came to the day, there wasn't really much research, and although the stuff image-wise was quite in line with each other, when I come to doing first thing I do with like the logo, start mocking up versions of the logo in line with what I've been referenced, and then showing them to her. I was, you take a step back and you go, no, that is in alignment with what you showed me. But then they were like, oh, I don't know if I like that, and maybe I do like this. And it's
then
like,
she was referencing so many different brands that were all completely different.
And then
so
started,
colours
well, maybe I want it like this, or maybe I want these colours. And I'm like, okay, what you're saying and what you've actually shown me is completely different, which shows me you haven't done your homework.
Yeah.
So now we're like, right, we're taking a step backwards now, and I might have set a week or a couple of days to work on a certain part of the project for her, and you're like, well, I want to do this right, but we're now in a position whereby this is difficult because I'm second guessing my client.
So the point is, it's a ramble. Point is, so it is all about starting from the inside, working out, not the outside working in. I think a lot of people go, oh, let's look at all the exterior, see what everyone else is doing, and I want a brand like that. And it isn't really, that isn't going to make you stand out, right? Like that isn't where you leave your mark. This is what branding is. It's about leaving your mark. It's about being distinctive. So starting by going, oh, I like this. Can I have a brand like this? Isn't going to make you distinctive. It's not going to make you authentic because you're kind of picking something that someone who has gone to these depths and chosen an amazing brand, because all these brands have, right? McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Nike, they didn't create that brand through looking at someone else's brand and recreating it, right? You can never be the best copycat. So your best brand is going to come through getting influences from other places. That's fine, getting influences. We all do that. But it's going inside and then kind of working out.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's really important that that part and the visual part obviously are in line. So that's where kind of things like colour psychology, you don't want to, if your values and what you're trying to, the message you're trying to kind of promote is, calmness and tranquility, well, you don't want to be using red, right? And you get people, and you've had that, who do that. They're like, I want to be sophisticated in this and that, and they will be picking colours that don't say that at all.
Or everyone's picking pink and black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then you read and go, what are you coaching in? Oh, right, you're coaching in women that have just getting past giving birth or something, mums and this, that and the other. And another one might be, oh, I'm coaching on business. And you're like, and they're both going, I really like pink and black. And you're like, why? Have you really thought about this? Have you looked at it? I mean, maybe when you get down the line, you might find that is the case. But generally, when someone comes to you and just says, I like pink and black, or what you've done for this person, or what you did for Emmy, I really like that.
Yeah.
So can I have it like that? And you're like, you're missing the point.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
And I think as well, the time we're in right now, there's never been a more important time to have a brand. There's a difference between having a business and having a brand. Your brand is your message to the world. It's your mark. It distinguishes you. And on this world where everyone's online and a lot of people are looking the same as we see constantly, you need to stand out. And you can only do it from doing stuff inside and then going out. So obviously when it comes to a designer, it's best that they've done that. They've done that first.
It's saving you. People think, oh well, I can't afford. It's saving you money.
Yeah.
Like if you think it costs a lot when people go, oh, that sounds like a lot for design work, well, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more in money and time if you produce something bad that isn't in line with, because you're just going to keep constantly going round and round in circles.
Yeah, exactly.
And spending more money, wasting more time, getting more of a headache.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth the investment, like anything good is. Like you would tell your customers, this coaching is worth investment, and getting over some time with a designer who knows what they're talking about beforehand, or a coach who specialises in it, to get you clear. There is a massive difference in the process of, right, now we're starting the visuals, how long does it take, how much communication, how many changes. It's very little compared to someone like I had the other day, whereby they didn't have that, and I spent twice as long on just even trying to come up with a logo, and it came to the point whereby I actually thought I might have to tell her that she needs to go away and let's leave it where it is and revisit it when you're a better stage, because it was taking so long and I didn't think it was going to actually happen. So there's a massive difference, and that would have cost her a lot more money and time, because she was like, oh, I want this done by this amount of time. Like you all do, everyone has deadlines. But you've got to be realistic.
And I think it is all about starting in, getting clear on what your value's about, what your company's about, who you are, your brand story, your uniqueness, what you really do, you know, like really digging deep, which is obviously what I do with a lot of clients, and God, this keeps bloody dying on me. That's fine. And then it kind of, then it transcends through your visual brand. So it starts from the inside, it starts from that. And a brand, you've got to understand, is not just, it isn't just visuals, and people think, oh, brand, they think logo, colours, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's kind of the, I don't know, like the kind of end goal, right? That's actually the last thing after you've done all the other stuff. It isn't the first point of call. It isn't where you go straight away. First, you've got to know all these pieces, your unique selling point, your story, what you're doing, how you're different, and you can do that obviously from starting inside. Look at, you know, and you can look at other people and you can look at your competitors and stuff, but you still got to then pick what it is unique about you. And also, when you're looking at them, you should be looking at them in the sense of, okay, why am I drawn to them? Why do I like them? Because the chances are it's going to be something in their values, in their core beliefs, something that they're offering, a feeling that they're creating, that you're drawn to, and that you what's the word?
Aspire to be like.
Aspire to be like. So they're the parts that are the most important to you, you know, and then it's picking the visual bits and pieces from that point on, because trying to do it the other way around doesn't really work. And like I say, like most brands basically die within their first 10 years. It's very few brands that you know stand the test of time. And like I said, so let me try and remember everything I said. So obviously it's being consistent. Well, I wrote down all my notes.
You're talking about,
you know, the things that brands, it's being consistent in their kind of identity, in everything around the company,
and your values.
Looking at the, so making decisions based on their values, not based on, oh, this is good for business, this will work. You know, it's actually always going back to the core. What's my brand about? What's my message about? And then making decisions from that point, which is what I do everything around in my business. I definitely would say I have more of a brand strategy than I have a marketing strategy, right? And I think that's the best place to come from it. And also, if your brand is really in line with you and it's really authentic, then all that becomes natural. Like me, and the way I communicate my business is so natural to me, and that's what you want. You want to be having a brand that's on purpose, you know, a business that's on purpose. And if it is, and it truly is, then everything else you do is going to be easy and natural. You're not going to be pushing against the grain, because those things and those parts come natural to you, and then it comes across more authentically, right? Just like I do, as I'm constantly told.
You won't want to go to if you know, you went to a marketing company now and said, can you market it? You'd obviously have conversations with several marketing places and go with the one you think actually gets you and is going to market you in an authentic way, just like as if it. So when people see the marketing, they don't think, oh, some marketing company's done that. Because it's clearly obvious. It looks like you've done it. But it's not, it's just now they're part of your team and they get it, and they got the brand ratings, they got you, they understood your message.
And it's also understanding as well, and I'm going to do a separate video on this because it's actually an important one, understanding why people buy. Because there's 5 different reasons why people buy. I'm not going to go into that today, it could be a very long video, and I'll keep it just about this kind of starting piece of branding. There's lots of different reasons why people buy, and they're buying more than anything to create a feeling. So they're not always buying your product just for the product's sake. Because think about Nike, and there's lots of different trainers out there. Well, why do they sell the most, or why are they doing the best? because they've created a feeling, they've done the marketing plan, they've done just do it, they've inspired people, they told all these stories about athletes and stuff like that. They got people to connect with their why through that advertising campaign that they've done, and it's one of the longest running advertising campaigns as well. So it's always about a feeling, it's about you, it's about that representation piece. It's not just about the product or service.
I was going to say, that's the good thing about Nike and other sports ones especially, is they end up paying a lot of money to other big brands or celebrities or people, sports people, to represent them.
Mm-hmm.
So they pick them for a reason, not just because they're the biggest, but often they do pick someone who's the biggest because they're the best, and it's not supposed to be the best. But you will notice when something goes wrong, in the sense of someone will be dropped from Nike if they've, for example, done a drugs test, an athlete.
Because they're not in line with their
because
values.
they're not in line with their values. Suddenly they're like, right, he's not in line with our values.
Exactly.
We thought he was, but he's made the mistake.
Yeah.
It's a costly one. But they're so big now, they can, you know, just drop that person and get someone else. Because they've built that up.
And it's just to understand there's so many different parts and elements to creating a brand, you know. Everything from the people you employ, the people that are associated with you, the clothes you wear, the way you present yourself, the way you speak to people, the way you communicate with people, your refund policy, like literally everything needs to be, all the decisions need to be made from that starting point, which is creating that brand identity and what you're about, and then everything kind of goes from there. I think we've kind of said enough really about it. I think the one thing that you could do, which is what I spoke about a few times, was, you know, to start thinking about products and services that you choose and why you choose them. Like, what is it about them that you really, really like? Because that will help you start to understand, you know, what those common kind of values are that you have in association with them. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I would do. That's the main thing.
I think, you know, starting there.
Or anything you see, I always say, when you pin it, your Pinterest or wherever you pick, you go, I like that. Just ask the question, why? Try and ask, why do I like that?
Yeah, what is it that draws me to it?
And try, and again, I'd look at, again, if just think about the colour psychology yourself. Like, take a look, because things can change. You might look at yourself and go, do you know what? My wardrobe or everything, I'm all over the place with what I wear colour-wise.
Yeah.
But you might say, that's fine, and that's who I am, and I know who I am. But a lot of people, again, you say about brand, people don't necessarily know even and as you themselves that well. And as you get older, like the difference between you in your 20s and you in your 30s, like if you look at what I wore in my 20s, what I now look at my 30s, it's a vast difference.
Yeah.
And people might laugh at, say, someone like, oh, that's Simon Cowell. He always wears a white shirt, but he's found he likes.
Yeah.
He found what represents him well, and that he just repeats. I mean, that's an extreme because it's literally like one outfit. Almost. But at the same time, people, again, that's how you. It's one of those key things you think of it.
Yeah.
You don't think of it in a negative way, like, oh god, that guy must wear dirty clothes.
Yeah.
You think, oh yeah, Simon Cowell wears that, and it triggers your mind to him.
Yeah.
And not that's the key one, because it's not necessarily like, oh, a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that reminds you.
Exactly.
Of him.
Yeah.
And you know, like that's something you want to think about how you want to look.
Yeah. That's what all brands are about, right? So if I say to you right now, like, what do you think when I say Apple, like Apple products? You know, certain words, feelings, connotations are going to come to your mind, you know? You're going to think something different if I say Starbucks. You're going to think something different if I say Batman. There's a Batman mug over there, so I said that. I'm just drinking from it. Batman, you know, it's a brand. Beyonce, you know, Beyonce's her own brand now, you know? Beyonce's such a massive brand that basically anything associated to her is worth, like, the value goes up loads. So I was reading about this. So it's, you know, the more powerful your brand, the Beckham brand, like, you think certain things and they come up to you, you know, for you. So that's what a brand's all about, and that's why you want to create a brand and not just a business, because it'll stand the test of time, and you can make all decisions from a really authentic, really value kind of based place, which I think is really, really essential in creating a business. I know with anyone I want to work with, I want to work with someone who wants to create a brand. They want to create a purpose-based business. They don't just want to create a business for money. And I think you can feel the difference in that, you know. It's like in some businesses, you know, a new director or someone will take over, and then everything goes to pot because their values aren't in line with what the brand was about at the beginning. You see that time and time again. Yeah. So I think, that's pretty much it. Would you say something else?
No. I would say we could go on and on, couldn't we?
We could go on and on, but
leave it for another day, I guess.
Yeah, well, definitely, because there's so many different parts to it. Yeah. And next week I should be releasing a brand training, like an audio training, which I'll be releasing. And there's also like an upsell to that, where you can buy a workbook project that we've created, a branding document, which is actually the starting point for all of this, where it goes much deeper and you can do kind of the self-coaching piece.
Self-study, isn't it?
Yeah, where you can get all this out of your head onto paper and start seeing seeing your brand identity to take shape. So that should be available next week. Well, hopefully. It should be. There's just so much to do.
Just got to fit it in.
Yeah. And then the one other thing that we're doing right now is we are doing a special package together. Now, I'm not going to go and put all the details in this video right now. I'm going to put it on the page so it's clearer and the prices are there. But what we wanted to do is we want to encourage more people to really think deeply about their brands before creating it, and really help them, with the end goal being that we help people create a distinctive, unique, cohesive brand from working with the two of us.
Yeah.
And two kind of packages we're looking to do. Obviously, anyone who works with me long term, like in my 4 or 6 month program, or who works with me in an intensive, will get a big discount. So what we're looking at is the two of us together, and this is going to be a limited time offer, really limited. Like we're 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
That's it. We're looking at, because we're both really busy, and that's all we have space for. Maybe one starting now, but most of them starting from mid-April, especially with branding.
Yeah, because I've got
exactly.
I'm busy up till then. But
Right. Okay. Well, we'll put that in the details. But yeah, we're looking at to do that, and you're actually going to get £1,000. So this is a massive, massive discount. £1,000 off by working with both of us together in sync. Now we don't really need to give this discount because you're getting such great value, because working between the two of us, you're going to create such an amazing brand, and we want to do it for more people, so that all the brands and all the businesses you're creating are coming from a deeper place. And then as we're creating your marketing strategy, or your brand strategy, we can create it all from that place, and we can make something really, really special, just like I have with my own brand. So that's what we want to do. Obviously, I'll put more details up there, but with John, you're going to basically get the full kind of brand package.
Yeah, well, there's, like I say, I've got several packages that I try and put out to anyone, so they've got more of an option of choice. But with this one, it'll basically be getting that brand guide, your logo, and when I say your logo, we'll put more details in this. It's not just literally there's one logo. You get different file types, so it covers everything, covering all your social media. So all your social media platforms, whatever you're on, are covered, and everything's designed for them, from icons to banners. Other than that, I will do. Some people still want, and I do, like business cards, but that's optional. And then you've got like email banners and signatures, that sort of thing. That's the standard sort of, that will cover you, that get you online, have a presence visually. And then on top of that, to really like nail it home, I offer another package where you got a website. And at the moment, because I'm still teaching myself WordPress, I want to make sure I get to a certain level with that. When I'm doing a website, although like at the moment I'm doing a website, I'm doing it in either Wix or Squarespace, and the one I'm doing tomorrow for a client for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I end up doing hers in Squarespace. Kind of out of my mind now. So you could. The other option is that included.
Well, I'll put all this in details. So you get to work with me for either 4 months or 6 months, or an intensive. Obviously there's a lesser discount for the intensive because it's less money, so that you get really, really clear on that and you create that. So we're literally creating a full business. We're doing any mindset work you need to do. Obviously, I do mindset, money mindset and all that, basically everything, the foundations to create this business and this brand, so that by the end of that period of time together, 4 months or 6 months, you've got a brand, you've got a strategy, you're really clear on what you're doing, you know what you're doing. You've got, your social media presence, you've got all of it, the shebang, basically.
And you're clear, that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. So when you get the brand created, it's created from a place of intention and value first. And there is some bonuses you get. So I'll write all this down, but you will get the branding workbook, you will get the Kickstarter pack, you'll get a PR consultation call as well with one of my mastermind partners, who's an amazing PR strategist. So you're going to get some extra bonuses, plus you get to save £1,000, which is a massive saving. And we just want to do that to give you some incentive to kind of go into those depths and work on that and create this amazing brand.
We know a photographer as well, don't
we? An amazing photographer, So we've obviously gotten all the connections. I can connect you with everyone. Got some great connections now, but that's what we're looking to do. For 2, maybe we might be able to do 3 if it's at the end of next month. We're looking to create this with and give you that massive £1,000 discount when you work with the two of us. So that is it, really. I hope you found the training useful. It was just kind of the basics, really, around branding, getting you kind of used about what it really, really is and what it's about. do answer those questions or that question that I answered. Have a, start there. Start looking at the brands that you love, that you buy from, what it is that you love about them, because that's a really great place to start. You're going to get more training next week. So I'm going to got the audio training, and there's the workbook as well. And then later date, the branding course will be coming out as well. So we've got different, places covered to really help you go here first, because it's just so important to create a great, successful business that really comes from a place of value and intention, and it's not just a business for making money, right? Because I hope no one in this group is that kind of person, Yeah,
it's the same as someone just saying, "Can you make it look good?"
Yeah, yeah.
Can you make it look good?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can make it look better than what you've got, but it ain't gonna stand out. It's just gonna fall flat. You need to do all this stuff first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're missing a trick
Exactly.
big time. I mean, like I said, I've worked for loads of big companies, television companies, and the amount of times things are hammered all the way down from the core values at the top down, and the marketing team come to you to create the visuals. If that wasn't there, or I have actually worked for a company where they haven't really got that.
And you've noticed that the companies like, for example, B-Sky being a huge company, you've noticed their attention to detail, how great they are with that, and everyone's got to stick to.
And then another company I might have worked for, where I was trying to establish that, because that's where they brought me in. I mean, it was really hard, hitting your head against a brick wall, and they didn't get it. But they're not doing very well, to be honest.
Exactly.
So you can see the difference.
Yeah. So it is really about basing all your decisions around your business on your brand strategy, starting from the inside and working out. But you need to be clear on what that is firstly, and no one should start a business not knowing that. And I see this, and people that I start coaching and stuff, is that they're having problems, getting clients and that, and it's normally because their message isn't clear enough. If your message and your brand isn't clear enough, no one knows what you're doing or what you stand for. They can't resonate with you. You want the same thing of, like, if I say to you, Apple, and you think certain things, that is what you want for you. You want people to go, this person, obviously I don't want to say his name, and then for certain things go, boom, 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 this is what I associate with that person. This is what I associate with their brand. You need that. You need that distinction in order to stand out, to be seen as, like I said, a person of high value, a person that people can trust. That no trust and like factor is really essential. I did another video about that. But the no trust and like factor is essential in business, because people, if they don't know you, if they don't trust you, if they don't like you, then they're not going to buy from you, right? So it starts by creating a brand and going in and then kind of working out from there. And once you do that core work, once you know what that's about, everything else becomes so much easier. Like, it really does. Every post you stick on Instagram, every video you do.
It's exactly like physical exercise. If you've got a strong core, everything else becomes easier.
Exactly.
If you build all the muscles around it, but you haven't got a strong core, you're not as strong.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is about that, and then everything is just in sync. You know what that's about, so then everything branches off, and it becomes intuitive, and that's what you want, right? You want to create a business that's like that, and it will survive you doing it that way, not trying to do it from the exterior. And then going in, or not being ever doing the inside bit, because it's gonna fall flat. No one's gonna be clear on what you're doing. You're not gonna be clear on what you're doing, so you're gonna block yourself before you've even started, which I see time and time again people doing. Were you gonna say something?
No, I'm just agreeing with
you.
You're waffling a bit now.
Anyway, I just want to drill the message in and stop saying. All right. See your long face. All right then. So I think I've said enough. Do that exercise. Look at the brands that you love and that you resonate with. Write down what it is you love about them. I'm sorry I haven't seen any comments, so I couldn't do the interactive piece I was hoping to do. Shut up. So yeah, none of the comments have come up. I don't know what's up with Facebook Live right now, but I'll see them all after, and I will comment back. Yeah. So it's what?
It kept erroring.
Yeah, I wanted to see it on my laptop, but that didn't work. So we will put all the details up for the package we're doing. If you're interested, if you've got any questions, I'll put the number. Lily's hair's flying around to book a call with us and to speak to us. It could be that you're already at a place where you could just work with John. You don't need to work with me. We can kind of make a decision from that. We're never going to try and get someone to work with us if they're not ready. John wouldn't for him, and I would for me.
That workbook is something key to get.
The workbook,
because it lists
the workbook
everything.
Coming out next week,
Yeah.
so that should really help with anyone who's just at those beginning stages, just getting clearer as well.
Yeah.
So cool. That's it from us. Hope you enjoyed that video, and yeah, we'll be back on here soon.
Next week, probably.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Bye.
Bye.